Today I'm going to be working on one of the potential entries for the September Soap Challenge Club, and this is for the Buffalo Plaid, and I'm going for the 6-color plaid. You can either, I'm in the advanced category because there's two criteria. They kind of change the criteria depending on who the members are and what the challenge is, but for this month, if you've made soap for over 3 years or if you've placed in the top 3 this year, which I have, I'm both of those, then you have to be in the advance, which is totally fine. I like the challenge and I'm going all in. Let me grab one soap real quick. This is the first one I did, and this technically would meet the criteria because the blocks are under 1 inch and it has 4 rows high. But I really want to go for it and do the 6-color plaid. So this is a 3-color plaid. So you have the base color and then you blend them together to get that 3-color, and it's a repeat pattern. The 6-color plaid would use, so I have them here, I have A, B, and C. I have a purple, blue, and then a silvery gray. Those are my 3 colors, and then my other 3 colors would be AB, BC, and then AC blended together. So I'm going to get those 6 different colors. Again, it has to be a repeat pattern, and I'm going to drop those blocks down to a 1/2 inch. So these are 3/4 of an inch, and this was in my tall and skinny mold, and this will be in the normal molds, this one I'm going to do. So this is technically my 3rd try. My 2nd try was a little bit of a disaster. I had a false trace, which I've never had happen ever in the years that I've been making soap, but you know, it's first time for every time. So the very first layer, the glue portion did not set up correctly. So I had to scrape that out, flipped them upside down, re-poured another layer. It's not going to work for the challenge, but it'll be fine for soap. And then I had some soda ash issues, which I think that may have just been a temperature problem, because sometimes if your temperature gets too low, with really both of them, false trace and with soda ash, both of those can happen with too low of a temperature that I have found. Anyway, so what I'm doing with this one, this is going to be a 6-color. It's going to take me at least 3 days of pouring. That does not include the time or days it takes for cutting the embeds out and getting everything set together. So this is, it takes quite a bit of math to get everything all figured out. I actually have my recipe somewhere else, so this is just the math portion, and then I've got my actual batch recipe written behind me. But anyway, this is going to be my pattern for this one. So I have 6 layers, and I'm actually going to have to cut off just a 1/4 inch on the side to make it match up because of the weird dimensions and the way to make it work. And this is something that we can do, is have a little end piece. So if you can see those blue, the 4 blue right there, that's my main focal point. So if we cut off that little 1/4 inch right there, it'll be a nice plaid. And for this, the 6-color plaid, you have to do a repeat. So this one will meet that repeat if it all works out. So the first day, today, I'm going to blend in my main colors. So this will be, I'll have 2 batches. I've got 3 here for 3 colors. So I've got my A's, which is the purple, right there and there, not that one. My B's, the blues, and then the C's, which is a silvery gray. And then tomorrow, or maybe not tomorrow, but the next time that I do make the soap, I will have to stack those up and then pour the next one. And then the last day is when I actually have my blocks, and I'll have the glue layer that sticks everything together. So when you, let me grab that soap again. With this one, you make those blocks and then you pour, those blocks, and then you pour the 3rd color as that's the glue. With this particular design, I cannot go every other one. There's no way to make it work with this one. So what I'll have to do, if you can kind of see the bottom layer, I will do, like I'm doing the A's for, actually let's look at the B's, that might be a little bit better. So the B's, I'll pour the B's first, get those, get the layer cut out, and then I will pour the BC layer on top of it. So that will be set up, and then I will cut that. If you just look at that little block right there, I'll have a 1/2 inch by 1 inch block. And then when it comes time to pour the glue layer, I have it done in a way so every single layer will have a portion that's going to glue it together, so everything will be stuck together. That's the hardest part, is trying to figure out a pattern and how on earth you're going to get the layers to glue together without having some weird seam in there. So fingers crossed it works. okay, because that second batch I did not work out okay. Anyway, so this is my design. I have all of my math here. I have it divided out by day, how much of my oils, how much of my my lye solution, how much of my micas, everything, fragrance oils, everything is there. So fingers crossed it goes okay. The fragrances I'm going to be using, with this is a good opportunity to use up some of those accelerating fragrances, especially in this first layer, because you mix it, you pour it in, you let it set up, it's not a big deal. I typically try not to buy them because I like to do swirls and things. So what I'm going to do, and it's kind of funny right now because I don't have a lot of accelerating fragrances, but once you get to the next part, so that batch that didn't turn out right, I haven't decided if I'm going to post a video yet or not. I have been recording it, but if you don't see it, then I just decide not to. Anyway, it took me an hour and a half just to pour that the last section with stacking everything in. And if you don't have an accelerating fragrance, it's just going to take that much longer. So I'm actually using this opportunity to try some fragrances that I've had. These are all 3 from Brambleberry. I have Freesia Bubble Bath, I have Moonchild, and then I have Pink Petals. And they're very different fragrances, but for this, they'll blend, I think, really well together. And this will also give me an idea of how well they behave, because if I have some issues, like one of them goes faster or slower, then I can use it for the glue section at the very end, and I think that'll be fine. So the colors I have, the purple is Orchid Mica from Brambleberry. This one is Caribbean Blue from Brambleberry, and this one is Silver Mist from Nurture Soap Supplies. Okay, I think we're ready to go, and yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get going, and then you'll kind of see the progress of how it goes. After I make every single section, I'm going to put it in the oven to oven process, and hopefully everything will be stuck together, no soda ash, no issues. Okay, let's get started. Get going on this one, I wanted to talk a little bit. So first of all, after I had already done part of this batch, they changed the rules on the Challenge Club, so the 6 color plaid is no longer an option because it was too difficult to basically figure out how to get a repeat pattern and not have things stack up, which is honestly kind of a problem that I had with this particular design, because I had to pour the one color, and then I had to stack another color and then pour that, and then have a filler color that's off-centered. So anyway, so they have taken that out. You can still submit it as a bonus entry, so that's what I'm going to do for this one. I'm going to do something a little bit different after I pour it, because it's going to have to go in the bonus category. That opens things up more. So I think what I'm going to do on the original design, I had the quarter side here, and then I was going to trim off a quarter. I think I'm going to go ahead and trim a quarter off the top and bottom to make it even all the way around, and then pour a black rim around it. So do a rimmed soap. So it's going to be an extra step that I'm going to do. Big downside is I had planned on this being actually my last one that I was going to do for this challenge, because I did another 6 color, and one of them was going to be my main, one was going to be my bonus category. But now I was like, okay, now I have to go back to the drawing board and do it again. So anyway, something about this design is it takes, even though when I first did this soap, I did my 24 my 24 bar recipe for my 20 bar loaves. And this one I even added an extra 10%, and I still didn't have enough soap. So this lower tray, this is the actual design that I'm going to do. So this is the correct one. And I end up with all these scraps. And there's even more scraps I have in the back, because to get the correct amount of squares, and I did that in one of the soaps, the cranberry pomegranate, is I put dividers in, but that still didn't really work very well on that one because I had to piece together a couple of the pieces. So anyway, you have to make a ton of extra soap to get the right amount of squares for this, unless you have individual little half-inch things where you can pour things in individually. So what I'm going to do, I'll have one loaf that will have the correct design, and then I'll have another one. I have this kind of divided out. So, and I have a strip of blue in the bottom of the mold. So what I'll do is I'll basically pour the correct one, put a little bit extra, and then place this at embeds in. So this will still be like a fun, I'm not sure it's going to be much of a plaid, more of like a geometric print, but yeah, so we're going to get ready to go on that. I have little pieces I'm going to insert in to use them as spacers. I hadn't done that, so I'm going to go ahead and do that this time. And then I have my colors all separate out. I do need to do the lye real quick. So I'm going to get the first step ready, separate out the lye, and then go ahead and get going on this. I am not going to do, each one of these will get poured twice. So what I'm going to do is this is where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with my CAAC color. That'll be the first pour. I'm going to go ahead and emulsify that one, pour off what I need, about half of it, add the fragrance to that, and then just let that set aside. And then same thing, the next row will be AB, and then last row will be BC, and then repeat. So fingers crossed, it should last. Okay, this pour I'm thinking will go a little faster, because the overlap, there's always going to be like 2 of them overlapping a hole, so I don't have to necessarily support it, because that was kind of an issue with when you have the individual ones, where the individual square, and when you lay it flat, sometimes it'll turn sideways and it'll push the stuff out. Hopefully that'll work okay. We'll find out. So I'm going to finish getting set up and we'll come back.